Prepare yourself, comment section, because you are about to explode. Who is the most overrated footballers in the world? And this list comes from where?
The Sportster?
The Sportster.
I selected this list. And I selected this list.
So you're going to be the target.
Yeah, that's fine. I selected the list because it's very controversial. And there's going to be a lot of disagreements, but that's why I have Francis here to combat that. Well, I simply sit there and when we get to our underrated clip, I know who the most underrated footballer in the world is, for a fact.
It's not Balotelli. It's not Balotelli. He's in this list. You better believe he's in this list.
Sticking to overrated, the most overrated footballer in the world is Jason Rubin.
You're overrated?
Yeah, I'm overrated.
You're not rated.
I am super rated. I'd be an 83 in FIFA.
For effort.
Puts me alongside Isco.
You'd be 83 for heart. And everything else would be
99 for heart.
No, I'd give you an 83.
Hey, what the fuck is
Sometimes your passion overthrows your value in the game. That's why you get upset. Like this clip that we keep teasing, you guys will see it so soon. Anyway, so let's take a look at the list. And this list came from a source that was a little bit dated, I believe. So there is a few in there that I think are not true. So
I mean, but just go.
Okay, all right. So we're going to count our way down because I can't start from the top because I'm just going to start throwing things. Nicolas Anelka, he played longer in his career, but when I think overrated, I think someone who's never really shone or someone who's always been tipped to shine, like a Freddie Adu, who should be on this list, but has never really did it. Nicolas Anelka has shone in his prime, and he's been a great player for many clubs that he's played with, especially Arsenal.
And again, I selected this list because it's a crime to say Iker Casillas overall is the most overrated player, but you can make an argument that last year and just last year, he was super overrated for his history.
Make it!
You can make the argument, and I'm not saying I completely agree with it, but there's an argument that putting in Navas for Iker Casillas to get him more playing time, for the fail-safe idea that you don't sign David De Gea, even though you have the money to sign basically any goalkeeper at the replacement level, for 2014-2015 season, you can say Iker Casillas was overrated. But that's also, you can do it, but it's not right because of everything that he's done for Real Madrid. He's got the veteran leadership, and he still made some fantastic saves, but you weren't putting yourself in the absolute best position for the future. You were putting yourself in the position of rewarding for the now.
Exactly. I wouldn't say he was overrated because I don't think that people overrated to me is someone that like, all right, he's gonna be, he's great. He's even though he's gonna be great again, and like he never really lives up to it. Casillas was great. I think he was. I'm just gonna make this up. He was rated based on his allegiance to the team, and he was rated based on the fact that he was their #1 goalkeeper for so many years, and they kind of did not want to. It's like parting ways with your kids sending them off to college. You just don't want to do it. I've never experienced that, but I can imagine from what I've seen.
Do you miss mum?
And home, I mean, I miss my mum. I miss my mum. Anyway, let's go back to the list so I can tear apart some of these suggestions. All right, so Gerard Piqué, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking joking me? I hate to swear, holy Jesus. Mum, sorry about the swearing, but Gerard Piqué, I'm not even going to give my argument because all you have to do is Champions League final, La Liga, star centre-back, shut your mouth. Okay, shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth.
Giovinco, he was always someone who was tipped for greatness, but he was always a utility player, and now he's doing very well in the MLS. And I think him moving to the MLS is one of the best decisions MLS did.
If he couldn't compete in the Serie A, MLS is a slower, diabolically slow pace of play and easier to play, and that would fit the tone of overrated.
I think
he found his niche in a different league. I'm sure it happens across all of world football.
But I think that he was utilised. I don't think people thought that he was going to be utilised more than what he was. He's very small. His size doesn't do him the bit. Like the way you get Messi, who's very small, Giovinco's even smaller, and he's like,
Messi's an
he's
outlier.
not exactly. Messi's just a unique case of just unbelievably amazing God-given talent. And there's some great small players out there, but Giovinco, I just felt was always used as a utility man. So I don't know if he was overrated. I think people at one point did say he was going to be phenomenal. But I just wouldn't put him in that list. There's more overrated players, I think so.
Should we go back to let's go through some of the fun ones.
This one is definitely true. Only true when he moved to Arsenal, Mesut Ozil. Because when he goes to Arsenal, I think there's times where he is expected to be God's gift to them and to help them through. And he performs once in a while.
After watching the World Cup, I really, really thought, and this is how I've been learning the game much more, I really thought Mesut Ozil was going to be a fantastic fit for Arsenal, but he also had the...
What, World Cup 2010?
2014.
Oh, well, 2014 he was all right. He moved before that. 2010 he was phenomenal.
But the well-oiled machine that we always call Germany, well, I guess actually that the system player happens in American sports too, but sticking to world football, actually if you have a good system, then sure, anybody's going to look pretty damn good.
Ozil, when he so 2010 World Cup was where he made his way into the world. I guess he was good before it, but in the World Cup in 2010, I thought he was frighteningly good. And I don't say that a lot about a lot of players. I'm very critical, but he was just so good. And he went to Real Madrid and he performed pretty well. Came to Arsenal, and what they expected for him is not what they got consistently. So that's why I say he is overrated, because he doesn't perform at that level week in, week out. He has his moments where he's just moping around and he doesn't look like he wants to be there, so that's why he would make my list. I don't know if he would be as high on that. I think he might make my top 20. But let's go back to it, because I want to see who else is on this list, and I want to know who made this list.
I'd say, I'm not going to say.
David Luiz. All right, so David Luiz is by far the most overrated centre-back in, I don't want to say by far the most, but he's by far one of the most overrated centre-backs, because he definitely has his flaws. I think he's a better centre defensive midfielder. I've always said that, even at his time at Chelsea. I don't think he is anywhere near the world's best in that position, but if he was to stick to that position, he wouldn't be underrated and he wouldn't be overrated. He'd be an okay player, but in terms of a centre-back, he definitely deserves to make a list. Jack Wilshere is more like, I wouldn't say he's overrated. He's just hit the potential that this guy's like set to reach. People want it quicker than what he's actually given them, because he's got problems with injuries, Jack Wilshere. He's got problems with his discipline. He's got problems with how he fits into Arsenal week in, week out, and a system that uses him sparingly.
We're just going to rip on Arsenal's overrated players.
But Jack Wilshere, again, has the ability. He's very young, and I think that he will come into the fact. Like, overrated for me is someone who's in their prime and still is never hitting that form.
Right, that's true.
So you're looking at Torres at Chelsea, you're like, you've not got any excuses. Why are you not performing? But then you look at Torres at Liverpool and you're like, he's phenomenal. So there's so many different factors, but Jack Wilshere, no, because I think that he's got the ability to get there.
Right. Well, we have Hulk next, and we also
I can't even really commentate, because I think Hulk is a good player. I just don't think he's overrated. I think people put him up to be the best player, one of Brazil's highest talents, because of his size and how he looks. And like, oh, Hulk, with a name like Hulk, you need to be that good.
Fits the mold of overrated.
But it's immediate. It's overrated.
By the way, overrated doesn't necessarily mean you're bad at football. Like, I'm always amazed that that. It's like, overrated doesn't mean you're terrible.
Okay.
Like, how dare you put this player there? How could you say he's overrated? He's a good player.
Okay.
Overrated means you're just
rated
higher than you should.
I agree that, but if you're in a top 20 list, you should be far overrated if you're going to make a top 20 list. So Hulk doesn't make that. Let's go to the top ones, because this is so crazy for me, right?
I could actually point out, before you get to it, I can point out four players that should not even be near.
There's two on that that only there's one person on that list two people on that list who should only be considered in a top 30 overrated list.
I was like totally opposite. I was to say Joe Hart, Stevie Gerrard, Franck Ribéry, Wayne Rooney. Nowhere near an overrated list.
Pepe as well.
Nowhere near it.
I think Pepe's a good defender.
Pepe is he's a dick.
Not this season. Never done
he's got his bookings down.
Got his bookings down. I think he's and Pepe.
Yeah, but not too long ago he was going for the knees in Portugal.
But how is that overrated then? That's just not fitting into the game. People have never defied the fact that Pepe's a good defender.
He's the most over-aggressive.
Over-aggressive could be true, but he's never been not a good defender. But on that, Nani, absolutely. Nani has never lived up to the potential that people set him out to be.
Could you make an argument for Wayne Rooney being an overrated player?
No.
Is there an argument?
No.
Is there an argument for Franck?
Nope. He was up for the Ballon d'Or nearly 2 years ago.
I'm just trying to fish into this to see if you have any potential way. If you had no choice but to argue.
Do you know who the people are that say Franck Ribéry is overrated? Guys who just watch the Champions League and we might not see him week in, week out the way. Franck Ribéry has been phenomenal in the Bundesliga for Bayern Munich. He's been an unbelievable player for them. And yes, people who think he's overrated are the same people that try to categorise him next to Ronaldo and Messi, because that season he was up for the Ballon d'Or. That was a one-off season.
He was a Ballon d'Or.
I thought he was up for a candidate.
Deserved to be there.
He's still not as good as them overall. But
2013, right?
Yeah. So Fernando Torres, if we go back to the list again, Fernando Torres, yes, at his time at Chelsea, for 60 million plus that he went there, he should have been performing better. He was overrated at that point. But they signed him. This is the problem. They signed him based on how he was playing at Liverpool, and he was phenomenal.
Frighteningly good. He shot beauties, I know.
So he was overrated during his time at Chelsea. Where's Balotelli?
Whoa. Calm yourself.
I ask you, guy, no one out there behind the camera, I ask you, internet, Where is Mario Balotelli?
Mario Balotelli is super overrated for a few reasons, and it hates me to do this because I am the biggest Balotelli fanboy. I love his personality, that's why. I think he's just a fun, looks like the coolest guy to hang out with, might be like pathologically insane, which usually makes for a good football player or any athlete. And he's got the confidence, like when he took the penalty kick, he's like, no, I do this. Every time I see him play, his size, strength, speed, where does that go when he's on the pitch? Because you look at the matchups he gets when defenders have to mark him, and they are half of his size.
Yeah.
And not every defender is Silva good, right? Who's not that big.
Yeah, Thiago Silva.
And they're Boateng, who's that strong, right? Balotelli is enormous, at least compared to everyone else around him. How hard is it to get control of the ball? Is your first touch that bad that you can't bring it down and make a legit pass? Granted, he did have the amazing pass to Aguero.
He just doesn't fit into a system.
When he was on City.
He just doesn't fit into a system. He doesn't fit into a system well, and if he does, he'll still find a way to unsettle himself by getting in his own head.
Team.
Yeah, and Italy in the Euros, he was phenomenal, and that was the best time of his career, and that was when everyone expected him. Yeah, that was when everyone expected him to be very good. But at Manchester City, no. At Liverpool, fuck no. At AC Milan, in periods. And I just never really thought in Inter Milan.
He's the one that needs to go to like a Fenerbahce where it's basically like you're the only guy there. That's not true. That's a little bit of exaggeration, but you're the star of that team. Do whatever the hell you want to sell jerseys and tickets.
Yeah, and so I'm going to wrap up with a bunch of mine that I have thought out during this. So Tom Cleverley, who still continues to move between teams and was way overrated at Man United. He's not even overrated now because everyone kind of like, he's just still rated, which is annoying. Who else am I thinking? Edinson Cavani. And the reason I choose overrated players is because I don't care about players who are kind of garbage and then are expected to be good but just move around. I find overrated is a prime example of players who are said to be world class and are just not world class. Edinson Cavani is considered world class when he is not. Zlatan right now is still considered world class, and he is a world class player. He's just not in the level of Luis Suarez, who I will continue to make that comparison. Suarez is a world-class striker. He's in a different league from Zlatan, but people will still put him in Suarez's league. I wouldn't say Zlatan's overrated, but there's still a difference there, right? You know, do you feel me? There's a few more I'm thinking about, and let me just rack my brains. Johnny Evans, people actually viewed him as underrated. He plays for Manchester United. How can he be underrated? He's playing for one of the best teams in the world, and he still plays. He's not a good defender. Makes far too many mistakes.
It's not a great argument because, like, Juan Mata plays for Manchester United. I think he's an underrated player.
He is underrated, but he was...
How could he be an underrated player? He plays for Manchester United.
He came in off of a fantastic season at Chelsea, so he signed with the prospect that he's a fantastic player. So people know he's good. He's a little bit underrated in comparison with other people, but Johnny Evans, people are saying he's underrated because he does a lot more for Manchester United than what you see, but he doesn't. He's not a good defender. And there's many more. I just can't really think about it right now because I'm too angry at that list, that which you guys can now go into the comment section and tear apart like a bunch of wolves, like a bunch of Francis Maxwell agreeing wolves. Subscribe.